Welcome back to Hardball. There was another bombshell story about President Trump and Russia that broke later today. The New York Times reported in the Obama administration's last days, some White House officials scrambled to spread information about Russian efforts to undermine the presidential election and about possible contacts between associates of President-elect Donald Trump and Russians across the government. Former American officials say they had two aims: to ensure that such meddling isn't duplicated in future American or European elections, and to leave a clear trail of intelligence for government investigators. According to the Times, some of that intelligence came from American allies, including the British and the Dutch, describing meetings in European cities between Russian officials and associates of President-elect Trump. In Europe, they had meetings. Separately, American intelligence agencies had intercepted communications of Russian officials, some of them within the Kremlin, discussing contacts with Trump associates. For more, I'm joined by Jeremy Bash, former chief of staff at the CIA and the Pentagon. Jeremy, help us. We're trying to put together, I've been saying this all along, there's like a jigsaw puzzle. We got the framing. We know it has to do with the 2016 election. We know the Russians wanted Trump to win or Hillary to lose. Clearly both. That's the way it works. We also know that Trump was out there looking for help. He was apparently had all kinds of meetings before and after the election. I think it's an extraordinary number of contacts with us and the Russians, who are seen today by most Americans as an adversary. A lot of friendly meetings.
That's right. And the looming question, and this will be the subject of these three federal investigations, the House, the Senate, and now the Justice Department, is was there any quid pro quo? So they had conversations between the Trump campaign and the Russians, but did they do a deal? Hey, if you hurt Hillary and you help us, when we get into office, we'll help you.
But it could be just sort of a fluffing, sort of a Billy Bush, just saying, just keep this up. We really like this. We're going to remember this. Could it be just that? Is that criminal?
It could, well, not, it depends. If they were actually engaging in a deal to try to throw the election, yes.
Well, how about we're not going to forget this? We like this. How about just saying thank you? Would that be enough? Is that criminal?
I don't know if it crosses the line of criminality, but
how about the hospitality the Trump people were offering? Oh, Jared, my favorite son-in-law, having him up at the Trump Tower. What door did he come in? What kind of meeting was that? Well, we're bringing the National Security Advisor. We're bringing Michael Flynn to meet with you. Boy, that's pretty good treatment. That's fluffing. And then, of course, the top senator, Jeff Sessions, come into my office. I'll have the whole staff there. We'll have a big meeting. There's a lot of hospitality going on here.
Russia was, yes, and Russia was treated as a Tier 1 country by the Trump team. They're considered a major ally, I think, for the Trump team and for the Trump White House. And that, of course, is a reversal of American foreign policy. And that's what's so strange, Chris, here, was we have a policy that no one can understand, which is a total capitulation to everything.
Let's talk about the Russians. I always think the Russians are playing chess and we're playing checkers. Not all of us, but I think Trump is. I think Americans go over there on business thinking there's nobody watching them. They're watching every second. They're using all the information they get, whether it's sex, whatever it is. They got the expense accounts. They figured out what restaurants they're at and how much they're spending. The Russians got it all. And here we have the RT, a propaganda network in this country, which they can put anything they want on it. We also have evidence now of all kinds of disinformation, propaganda put out to destroy Hillary, right? You know,
that's right.
They've been doing this since back in the 60s when they said the U.S. government killed Martin Luther King. They're good at this. They just keep spewing it out there. Then we find out that the front man for this, the Russian ambassador, scooting around from meeting to meeting. It looks to me like they know what they're doing and they're working coherently, and we're trying to pick this up like in a jigsaw puzzle. Oh, RT's doing this, and they're doing this with information, and they're hacking into John Podesta, you know, and they're looking into Palmieri's stuff, Jennifer Palmieri's stuff, and but to them it's all just part of a plan to screw us up.
They had a very cohesive plan, Chris. This was planned, I think, in the Kremlin. They wanted to influence the election. That's what the intelligence community unanimously said in this assessment that was published January 6th.
17 agencies.
17 agencies. There was no dissent. Everyone agreed. Russia tried to interfere in the election. They clearly favored Trump. They tried to undermine Hillary. And the question really for these investigators, they're now going forward, because that's the past. Going forward is, was there any collusion between the Trump campaign?
Trump knows a lot of things. He knows Manafort did a lot of business with Ukraine, with the wrong side over there, right, the pro-Russian side. He knows that his guy, Michael Flynn, was sitting over there getting wined and dined with Putin at the table with him at some sort of awards dinner over there, all right? He knows all evidence that there's somebody playing footsie with the Russians on his team, right? How could he not know it?
Oh, I think he was fine with it, and here's why. Because he became convinced, whether it's through his long relationship with Russian oligarchs or financiers, that the Russian talking points on what was happening in Europe, what was happening in the world, were correct, and he's parroted them.
Yes, Jeremy Bash, thank you. Please keep coming on.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.